Hello, my name is Abby with Tuxedo Bird Creations. Thank you for joining me today and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to do the moss linen stitch. Before we begin, if you like my tutorials, please subscribe to my channel, and if you would like to be notified of new patterns and stitch tutorials on my website, feel free to subscribe to my newsletter at tuxedobirdcreations.com, where you can find links to all of my patterns as well as my stitch library that is growing weekly with a new stitch added every Tuesday on Stitch Tutorial Tuesday. Now this pattern, this stitch is the moss stitch, also called the linen stitch. It's a very, very nice even stitch. You see it has alternating lines of little V's going on. It's very nice, perfect for, I've made dish towels out of it, and pot holders, hot pads, stuff like that. It would make a really nice thick blanket. It's not very holey, so it makes like a nice warm piece of fabric. So for this stitch, you'll just need multiples of 2. So any multiple of 2 will work for this demonstration. I'm just going to chain 20. So go ahead and chain any multiple of 2 that you would like and meet me back here to start the moss stitch. Okay, so I have my chain of 20. So now what I'm going to do is from the second chain on from the hook, so the loop on the hook does not count as a chain. So we have this first chain here and then the second chain. This is what we're going to be starting in. We're just going to single crochet into that first chain and then chain 1. And then from there we're going to skip the next chain and go into the next chain and do the same thing. So we're skipping 1 chain and then we're going in, we're inserting our hook, yarning over and bringing up a loop. So there's 2 loops on your hook and bringing through both loops. That's your single crochet stitch. And then we're going to chain 1. And I'll show you one more time. So we're skipping a stitch and going into this one, and we're just going to single crochet and then chain 1. And you're going to do this until the end of the row. So go ahead and chain the rest of your row and meet me back here so we can start on row 2. Okay, so we have reached the end of our row. We did the single crochet chain, skip a stitch until the end. We have 1 more chain to skip and 1 more chain to single crochet and chain into. So we're going to single crochet into this last stitch. And instead of chaining 1, we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2, and then turn our work. And from here you'll see that there are, you can see the V's in the stitch that we made. So we're going to be single crocheting into this chain space here in between each of the stitches. So we just chained 2 and turned. So now we're going to single crochet into that space and chain 1. And then we're going to skip this little area here and we're going to go into this next chain space. And then skip this area here and go into this chain space. Skip this stitch, go into the chain space. We're going to do that for the rest of the row. So go ahead and continue that and meet me back at the end. Okay, so we're at the end of our row. We have 1 more stitch to go. So we did our single crochet chain into the last hole here. And to make the sides even, you do have to do it 1 more time. It's a little tricky to see, but you will see that you have the single crochet and then the chain that's a little stretched out there. So you just go into, after that, go into that space, single crochet, and then you're going to chain 2 again. You always chain 2 at the end of each row, and then turn your work. So now we are starting to see our V's form. So now it's a little easier to see where you start and end, because you're just going to go in between those V's into the chain space that you have there. So you chain 2 and turned. So now we're going to go into that chain space, single crochet and chain, and in each chain space in between those V's. So I'll just take it to the end of the row. And again, when you get to the end of the row, you'll see you will have one more V left. So on the other side of that V in this space here, we're just going to make one more single crochet and then chain 2 because we're at the end of our row, and turn. So again, to go over what we just did, we have 2 rows of V's, and you'll see that they're alternating where their placement is. So now we're going to mimic the row below the one we just did. So you can kind of figure out where your stitches are going to go based on that, if you ever get lost. So you just go into that chain space here, single crochet and chain, and that will make a V in line with that V, which is 2 rows down. And then you just continue doing that across the row again, skip a V and go into that chain space. It's a fairly easy stitch. It's very easy to kind of just get into a groove with this stitch. I use this stitch when something may call for a single crochet or some sort of simple stitch. I like this one just because it gives it a little bit more something to look at other than just a plain single crochet stitch, because you have the V's, but it's just as simple as a single crochet because you're basically just adding in that chain space for each row. So again, at the end of the row, we have this last V right here. So we're going to go on the other side and just single crochet one more time and chain 2 and turn. And you'll see we have 3 rows of V alternating now, and it is looking great. It's a very easy stitch. You get this wonderful texture with the V's, and it just looks just a little nicer than a single crochet in my opinion. But it's super beginner friendly for that reason. So again, here's what it looks like on the swatch. It's, you know, great texture. So very easy stitch to learn. Thank you for joining me today for this tutorial. And again, if you like my videos and want to stay updated, subscribe to my channel or subscribe to my newsletter at tuxedobirdcreations.com. Happy crocheting!